Okay, well, we are back. Having some technical difficulties here with my workstation, but none of the work appears to be lost, so we should be able to continue right where we left off. Unfortunately, the other stream is kind of uh, gone, but um, like I mentioned, we didn't do all too much, so we should be able to, um, treat this almost like a replacement to the stream that was lost. Okay, here we are. So what we're setting up for was an animation notify for this event here, the input check, which was actually, uh, yeah, the one right here that we're looking at. This is just going to check if the skill is still held, or if the input is still held, rather. I just want to verify that. Can I find references to this? Well, I guess it'd be too convenient to hope that it would show me where they are on my animations. So let's go to the animation viewer here. Not the animation we want to see. We want to get Lance start. And if we scroll this up, yeah, we can see our notifies right at the end there. Pretty cool. Now, how do we trigger this? We probably want to go up to our input here and apply a boolean to it. Is Lance input. Come on, there we go. Okay, and we want true and false. Basically, we just want to set this when it's pressed, and when it's released, we set the false. By default, it should be a. Well, let's compile it so we can set the default. By default, it should be false. So we'll just let that compile, and I'll enjoy some tea. Okay, now then, let's go back to our character view here. We want to check against this during the animation, and basically just get the readout. I'll just hook that in just like this. Gotta love how Unreal 4.15 added these nice nodes. Really takes up less space and fits in with the aesthetic. But anyways, okay, so based on if it's true or false, we want to kind of set this here. We can just delete that. I don't think we're going to need the toggle. Lance execute might end up being or the channel end might end up being a different event. If I'm looking at my my blueprint spreadsheet here, not my spreadsheet, my sketchboard. I don't know what you want to call it. This You can see here I have sort of mapped out the way these inputs are going to work with these animations. Just referencing that on my other monitor. And it looks like the channel end won't be working with... it'll be called differently, or it'll be called from a different input. Anyways, this calls, yeah, land start, we called an animation blueprint. But now, because this is affecting a loop on the animation blueprint, we interestingly enough, this might be where we decide if we're going to handle things using a montage or this loop. If we jump over to our locomotion, we can see that from our idle, which is basically this section here, we enter into the start animation based on if we set that event as true. And we transition to the loop if, well, as soon as this is complete, it transitions here and exits back out. Once that's off, let's disable this for now. On the event graph, let's see if we can handle this with montages, because I'd rather work in the blueprint, the main blueprint, to be honest. So let's unplug these. Compile and save. Okay, so now we're basically just working here, and this doesn't really do anything right now. What we ought to do is go into her animations folder and let's create a montage from land start. And we can right click, go to create animation montage. And we can just keep it there for now. It's sort of a experiment right now. Sort of working through the kinks, finding the way we want to deal with this. One thing we want to do is go into the montage and apply it to scale attacks. I believe that is something we definitely want it to be. And as soon as we toggle this event, we should be able to play and a montage, and let's select land start. Okay, and it will play through, and we'll just set this timer to trigger out like immediately during. The animation notify should still fire this event off, and if we're holding the button, we'll get our feedback. So let's just test where we're sitting in terms of our communication between different elements. Noticing my video output is too low according to YouTube, so I hope that my computer is going to be able to be okay. I haven't had any problems recently streaming, so let's just hope that was an anomaly. Okay, let's just go to, what am I doing? Sorry, I work on the menus too much. I'm so used to just jumping into to there. So we have our input event, and we're definitely getting something happening here. I believe the animation is playing, and now we have our aim trace. You can see from our right hand out into the environment. We don't have a way to toggle that off. Now I believe this is simply because there are blends automatically associated with the montage. If we go in here, we should be able to just, if we zero out the blend the blend time. We should eliminate that. There I go again, okay. So not quite the result I'm looking for here. Let's see. I believe skill attacks should be correct if we apply it to the default group. The default group, we get nothing, which makes sense. I'm gonna have to debug against my animation blueprint in the anim graph just to see what's going on. So I'm gonna just pull this to the other monitor. And we'll set the default group to skill attacks, because we're getting some playback. I just really want to see what's going on. Okay. So my other monitor here, I've turned on the debug mode, so I can see where and why this isn't working. Okay, that seems logical. Interesting. Basically, because we're moving, I believe it's because of our root motion. I'm just gonna change this conditional value on the blueprint here. Let's try this. Replace it with a if it's greater than 100. Oh, whoops. We just need that. Because if we go to our preview here and we have our movements for speed. Yeah. It's like what? 100 is like walking speed, or somewhere in between there. Those are fixed. So I think putting it at 100 will be a safe value. So I'm going to save and compile and just test that out again. See if that is more in line with what we're looking for. And now we got a really awkward. Looks like we need a more elaborate setup for our conditions. And we're equal to 0. Very interesting. I'm going to set things up to work the way they were originally. Now, inside of here, used for lamps, this is sort of not the case. Actually, let me just see that. We had a setup for it, and perhaps maybe I want to make sure that's not the reason. And if it is the reason, then well, we're in business. Whoops. Okay, sorry about that. Where are we here? Because we're getting root motion, it's actually affecting that boolean that is working on our decision making here. We're also in our animation blueprint, just to get a cleaner work setup, we may just need to... Oh, we gotta disable, we gotta get rid of these, unfortunately. Because we're trying to set up this driven on our blueprint, and we set up the condition on our anim graph, those are conflicting. Yeah, so that's a little bit odd. I'm gonna pull all these over so I can debug against them. Oh geez, okay, I was wondering why it's so bizarre. I actually was doing some experimenting to make sure that this method would work, and it was basically to see if the rate scale could be reversed, and it can be, and that's why the animation was looking so bizarre. So now that I've set this back to a positive direction, let's actually take a look at the result. So from here, we should be able to hit triangle, and, well, basically, we go into this pose here, and now our animation's locked, but if we let go, the actual feedback is displaying correctly. I'm gonna go into my... I'll move this over so you guys can see. I'm gonna go into the aim trace, this function here, and actually turn off the print string because it's not necessary right now. Just remove those like this. And we'll compile. And what we want to do is, once we get back to our event graph, let's just make this obviously different. So even if our aim trace is true, I need all this stuff. Sorry, if interface is false, I want to, end this function. If it's true, I want to just delay maybe 2 seconds and still end the function. How's our animation? Okay, looks like we're back in our scene here. I think 15 seconds might actually have been a good time to for the animation to last. Because it doesn't feel too terrible. We wanted to have a little bit of time, getting into position. Maybe we should speed it up. We'll play around with it and see how it feels. Let's dump these back in here. Yeah. So, if we tap this button, we execute Lance, and input is false. We can see that on the debug readout, or in the print string readout. But if we hold the input, it's true. And we maintain our range trace for a few seconds, which is pretty much exactly what we wanted. So it is working here, which is pretty sweet. Just for my own sort of mental health, I want to just make sure my other skill is working here. Yeah, okay, so Surf is working just fine. And if we pick up other abilities... whoops, wrong input. Yeah, other abilities are working fine too. Just sometimes I want to make sure I'm not breaking something by working on something else. It's like my greatest fear is to work on something for so long and get it working exactly how I want it and realize I've overridden something else. Okay, this animation montage, let's move it inside the montage folder, because it looks like it is going to serve our purpose. And while this updates, oh, looks like it's good. Okay. Yep, this is our transition here. In our blueprint, I would like to basically, if the player is let go, we should probably want to check immediately if the player has let go. Then the first way to tackle that comes to mind is to use a function on a timer. Let's call it Lance input check function, and just try and clean this up a little bit, because right now no matter what point in the animation, we want to make sure that we can, if we let go, we reverse out of it. And the play rate is going to be -1, whereas this is positive. We don't necessarily need the range trace, but we do want to call what we just made. Length input check function, and not on the world time, but we can make it very quick. We just don't want it every frame. It's kind of, I think that's kind of unnecessary. It might be a bit overkill in terms of, you know, what's going on. Inside of here, we actually want to move this logic. Basically, every 0.1 second, we're gonna be checking if this is, if it's true. And if it, as soon as it becomes false, if it's true, we're not going to do anything. But if it's false, we'll grab these 3. And we're going to want to probably do this once. We're immediately going to clear timer by name. And the timer we're going to clear is this same one. As soon as this is false, as soon as the player lets go, we don't want any more inputs coming in here, which is why the do once is there. And the first thing we're going to do is turn this off. Input check function. And then we're going to plug this in here. We're going to play out the animation, and I don't think we can delay. Yeah, we definitely can't. But we should be able to turn these off. We could always have an output function. Well, actually, we're calling on timer, so the output wouldn't really matter. Let's save and compile. We're going to need to copy this, and we're going to make use of it outside. So we still have our anim notify, right? The one that we made earlier on. It's actually inside of the, not the montage, but the start animation. And I believe that these inherit, the montages inherit these from their the standard animation file. So we can still make use of this event that comes here. And as soon as it's called, we're going to end this. But if it reached the end of the animation, that means we've basically are prepped and ready to go into our animation loop, right? Which is, where are we? This animation here. where we are sort of just kind of, yeah, it's a very cheesy animation right now. 5 frames of a hand bouncing, but that's sort of where we want to be in terms of execution. Anyhow, I need to think a little bit on how I want to implement this. It is going to have to be similar to, like, this is basically the transition. And this comment is no longer applicable. Can bring these in here. Okay, so let's check and make sure our inputs are working the way we want them to. Let's grab these and let's get that readout inside of our function. We're basically getting a true readout from here. Excuse me. This is our false readout. We can plug in the same data. For true, let's just put it to green so we can distinguish it. I want to add another print string on the success. On the completion, on the successful completion of the animation, we want to use this print string here. Set that up like this, and just we don't need a dynamic entry here. We can just type and finish. Oh, hey Julio, how's it going? How are you doing on a Friday? Thank God it's Friday, am I right? So right here, we're playing in a negative direction. I believe this should work exactly the way I want to. I'm just going to pull this out here for debugging. Tab over, set my debug filter, and begin. So, input true, animation finished, success. And as soon as we well, it's doing what I want it to. It's a little fast, though. As soon as I let go, it goes back in skill stance, which is kind of what we want, in a way. Unless we finish and it's true. And then we're kind of locked into our the controls are locked because we're in our skill mode here. So let's apply this with another. Oh yeah, man, the weather has been awful. And I can imagine the traffic at this time, like rush hour in Toronto, terrible. It's awful, and I'm sure the weather didn't make it any easier. But I guess it's good to be home. You know, you can relax, take a load off, so to speak. You know, celebrate that it's Friday. Let's check this out here. Group. If we turn off root motion, how does that affect our current setup? Interestingly, we just don't even get. Force root lock. Interesting. That might be something new. I didn't notice that before in Unreal. Oh, I'm a goof. Hold on. This is the loop animation. Editing the wrong one. If we jump to animation start, we can enable root motion. And now see how that affects our skill. This might have to get set up in the anim graph, not in the locomotion, now that I think about it. Oh, today, trying to build a new skill for Maya. Sort of just trying to get the inputs and states to work. If you scroll backwards in the video, or in the stream rather, you can see I shared for a little bit my messy notes of what is sort of what we're trying to achieve in detail. Let's turn our debug filter here. Right, so yeah, we actually do want to be working inside of here. We're basically going to have something very similar to this. we have a stationary lance stance, something like that. We can actually pull out a... We can pull this out just to, you know, proxy with. I mean, that's what it's for. Checks if lance. On the event graph, we do have a check for if we're in lance. So, if lance is not true, we're just in skill stance. And if we are true, we actually come up here, which I believe should not be our cash pose base movements. It should be this guy here. So compile that and... Oh, oops, down here, looking for my other window. So right after here, when the animation check is finished, that's actually when we want to, you know, use this. Set that to true. And then probably execute here our range trace from that stance. I just want to find references, make sure this isn't being set, or I don't want it to be. So this should be us here, I think. Yep. Then we have get is lance up there, just to make sure we're not using other skills inside of skills. That's fine. And we set it again inside of a function, but we're setting it false, which is fine. Doesn't really have to be there though, because we're not. It's not even turned on. Kind of a needless instruction. We only set it in 2 places, or only setting in 1 place. But after this timer is called, I do want to set this as false, so we can kind of get out of our stances here, and also call false on movement lock. Oops. We might actually not need forward movement locked. We should be able to use is attacking, to be honest. Let's use that. I believe forward movement lock is specifically for our surf. True. Set this to false here. And glance. And yeah, we should close that timer off. Inside of our input check, we can just set is attacking to false. Because I believe if we're attacking, we can't shift our position. Let's see how this plays. Yeah. Yeah, so it's sort of doing what we want. The root motion sort of jumps around on that loop animation. But basically, we get to this mode, we aim, and then we sort of jump back after 2 seconds, which is sort of adequate. I wonder if I could actually set the reverse rate to be a little bit slower, maybe like negative 0.5. So it's a little bit smoother of a transition. Image trace. I think we can probably. I think we can safely get into our animation now. Oh, hey! Kalarla Burdor. Sorry, sometimes I have trouble saying names on the first go. Oh, thanks. Glad you like our work. Yeah, just setting up a new skill for this character. We kind of have the base functionality working as intended, but we just have some kind of ugly proxy animations that have zero style and character applied to them. So I'm in the process of refining the animations. And then after that, we'll do some VFX. Oh, work with Cascade probably. This actor is causing a conflict. Let's get rid of that. Yeah. You know what, before we edit the animations, let's actually input these controls so that we know everything's functioning correctly. So right here is where we end our skill. Hey, why didn't that follow along? And we probably want to call this from this event. We just have to decide where we want it to be triggered from. This event, last channel end. If I look at my notes here, this is released. This is triggered if skill stance is released. So let's find our skill stance here. Activate skill stance. Pressed and released. If it's released, we go right into this function here. And we adjust all of these values. Trying to organize this. Try to keep these blueprints as easy to read as possible. Wait, hold on. If we only trigger Lance on completion of the animation, so if the animation is not complete, we don't even have that to be set. But where are we here? But if it is set, we probably, let me just go like this. If it is true, we do want to call Lance and where's my comment color? It's right here. Is that proper naming? We'll call this Lance and just for our own consistency, we'll put it through here. That way we disable Lance if we're skill stance, if eggs are skill stance, and we should also dump that through here. Kind of like how we have this as well. So let's save and compile, and I will read the comments. I've been so rude of me to neglect. Sure. I don't mind showing you guys how I did some of the effects. You want to know the effects for the trail. So for my understanding, just so I know what you mean by trail, we'll go with this one at a time. Do you mean the effects for this attack here? I won't do anything else. My question, yes or no, that's the effects for that trail, or let's see here. We want to sort of, we should save these because we can do a global save. Never know when Unreal could crash. Okay. Kinda got distracted and lost my train of thought there. So, we have triggered our skill, and okay, we're using our abilities. Awesome. Now, we let go. We have full control of everything. Everything works, I believe. I believe our inputs, I believe this will work for our skill. If we, okay. To be honest, I do want to have a better, I think we'll need to be a little bit of time, because the idea is we have a 15 frame animation that ends up in this stance, like we're ready to fire. I mean, I guess the prep for the skill could be during that animation, and then we would charge, but I honestly thought that, you know what, let's make the animations nice. It's the same trail, so yes. If that's what you want to know how to do, or how I did it, I can show you. It's pretty simple. So our character, it's actually an actor. So let's go to her folder here, skills. These are for her abilities. Base wave. So if we go to our viewport, yeah, you can see this shape with a pretty, crude but effective collision capsule for giving damage. And basically, we spawn this in time with her animation, and then move it around her based on the way, like the attacks were designed to make it look as if she's, water bending in a way. So the visuals of this are actually two components, a particle effect, pretty simple particle effect really, and a static mesh with a complex material on it. If we jump to the material, we have a few, but the base, let's open up this, and just so I can get the parent for sure. Look at the default, that's so funny. That's for mesh, an ability we have not integrated yet, that mesh. But if we, the parent is this water seals one. I just want to double check. Right, so this material here, we'll preview it on this plane. It's sort of like our water, stylized, kind of, comic book, anime looking, and it's kind of like robust a little bit. Like, this is pretty much all for normals, which isn't really what's making it look good. It's actually the panner, these panners, that are affecting this texture, and we lurk between them in this kind of way so that we can, like if I preview on the instance, it's always easier to preview on an instance than on the material because it has to compile. But we can use this dissolve to sort of affect kind of this flow, right? And that's animated on the actor as well. So if we go to, where's our actor, our base wave? If we go to our event graph here, when this is spawned, we actually have a timeline that's affecting the dissolve. I'm by no means a pro animator. I'm sort of just building things to an adequate level. I mean, I know how to animate because, well, it's not difficult. But I definitely don't give the animations enough time to really polish them. There's just too many other things I have to do. Where are we here? Glance check is there. Oops. Right. So from here, I think we have to disable this input once we are in that mode, or else it'll just go on forever. But our exit is working just fine. So I'll disable that on the main blueprint. Let's close all of these before I move something and have to check it out. We do have a socket on the mesh for particle effects to spawn, but because that effect also needed to carry collision with it, it was most easily done with the actor. If it's being its own actor, it can have its own collision, and then we can trigger damage events, like hit events, based on that, the shape of that actor. Maybe that answers your question? Where are we here? and is unlocked. That's funny. Okay. So this input here, it actually does need a branch. So I guess we can grab one of these dudes. Where we want to put the conditions on the skill itself, kind of to be determined. I mean, it already has to go through the conditional checks for the skill stance. So we have our main sort of bulk, I want to say, covered. But for the resources, where we want to put those, that is a little bit to be determined. I'm thinking it should be during the checks for the actual attack, so that we can exit the damage on, like, if we run out of resources. But we can make use of this here. We want to check if this is true. And basically, if it's false, we can execute. If not, we do nothing. Let's save everything and jump into game view and test this out. So, yep, that works. And once we're in here, we can't use our inputs anymore. However, we shouldn't be able to move. That's a bit weird. Right? It should kind of be locked in to a attack type of deal. The reason why we're able to move is because on our movement input we should have a condition for lamps. Because if that's running, we don't want to be moving around. Cool, okay. Let's jump in here and check it out. So, assuming we have resources, we jump into here, and we can use our ability, and we can exit. Definitely need to fix the root motion on that second animation. It's so funny. Once we're in this mode, yeah, we can't move. Okay, so that's what we want. I'm gonna save all. Save all. Control Shift S. Okay. I guess everything is saved. And I'm going to head over to Maya to animate Maya a little bit better. We're going to start with this pose here. The speed probably can be adjusted via a play rate in engine, but you know, with that in mind, I already like how it feels in terms of speed. But we want to sort of create like a kick-ass final pose, you know. And then we'll animate our in-betweens in a way. Just moving things around. Perhaps even this way, just sort of getting things to feel. Yeah, something kind of like yeah, something like this. Maybe we can drop the stance a little bit. Drop this down here. It's bizarre. Let's lock this foot here. Whoops. Nope, that's not what we want to do. Oh, Jesus. That's not at all what I wanted to do. How am I going to get out of this one? Let's go to our outliner. Right. Okay. So, oh yeah, your question. Can I share the material with you? Sure. I could do a video breakdown or something on how I did it. that is something, if that's something people are interested in, I'd be happy to make a video where I break down the nodes and how they're set up, and the materials as well. It's kind of just gotta cover the. I think that should be fine for like one video. Normally, I don't like to do video for tutorial's sake, just because I don't have a ton of time to devote to just, you know, making how-to videos. But if something people are interested in, I could definitely get to making a video. Okay. How do we want to deal with this? Maybe like a two-step. At 15, we want to. Okay, slip and slide. Let's test something out. Let's just go kind of crazy. So frame 4, let's copy this and paste it here. Kind of a goof. Let's copy this key, paste it here. And let's move this key here. Stems of the hip height. This is going to kind of offset everything, though. Let's get that elbow out from here first. Julio's suggesting to spin her on her right foot. The sliding of that foot looks weird. Spin like how though? How does that work? frame is this pose here? Frame 6. There we are, okay. We want our hands. Oh, she's broken. Oh, Jesus. Double jointed, special ability. Okay. Kind of awkward a little bit, but if we cut this key, move it here, what do we get in terms of our hands and elbows? Get out of there, elbow. Okay. That. I think almost immediately this animation might benefit from some sort of like initial pose setup, something that sort of feels a bit more dynamic or at the ready. Yeah, I hear you, man. Sometimes it's hard to explain. Like, it's easier to show to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like visual aids, show don't tell, that kind of idea. So let's see what this hand is doing for the animation. Maybe this should be fine. We just want to make sure the root is moving in line with this, so I'm going to grab the graph editor and use it on the other screen. Or, you know, I'll move it down here. And then I can see comments still. So we want to look at the roots and the torso and the translation Y. Okay. So kind of just want to match these keys. Insert key. Can I do that? Oh Jesus, not exactly what I wanted. Let's insert a key here and where's the next frame of this? 11. Switch back here, insert a key. And now let's cross-reference those curves. Just make sure we're moving in line. Now this is looking a little closer. So the root is moving in line with her. That's cool, because that'll influence our camera and how cool it looks. I think this meets my level of animation in terms of adequacy. First thing we should do is create a pose of this new let's go to temporary, and we can replace the old pose. Yeah, this one. Kind of funny. Okay, let's save this. This one. This is a very obvious thumbnail. We have to, save in the temp folder, overwrite our existing one. Yep, there it is. How neat is that? Okay. Next. You locked it out tomorrow? Nice. You should make a video. And then post it on our YouTube channel so that I can use it as reference. Okay, let's export this. Replace our old one. Should be cool. I'll export this. Okay. And re-import. And hopefully it's imported well. So fast! Look at it go. Look at it go. Yeah! If we look at our montage, okay. Our montage is, positive, blend out, blend in is times 0. By default these are 0.25, but I believe with them on it just kind of like starts before it ends. Whoops, because it's so quick. Yeah, like I don't like how that is. Let us quickly change that back to 0. So I have 8 blend time. I don't think we'll need to interpolate between them because the animation is using the same blend pose, so it should be like a very smooth transition. And now that we have that, I just want to make a note of the 44.9, basically 45. That's fine. We should, though. Okay, we save this. And I'm going to close it. Close and reopen. In the meantime, I will see where we are here. In terms of VFX, I did this once before. There was a way to make like a beam. Almost like refine that particle and see how it was made. Oh yeah, let's open up the loop. Kind of need a third animation as well, if skill stance is released, because right now it'll just blend from that pose to skill stance. Yeah, no. Browse for these paths. Export, sorry, I'm looking for the export file for her. So we'll find that path. So I believe I made some sort of a laser beam style particle at one point. It looks like that might have been in a different project though. I think I made a tutorial though. I don't think it was anything crazy cool. But that's sort of what I'm looking to leverage, a particle from the trace location. And then spawn like a hit effect. I'll act it out tomorrow. Perfect. Well, if you want me to make some animation changes now, I would suggest sending me a video. You'd send it to me on WhatsApp or something of animation reference. But ideally, I want to finish this off before I go to bed. What a weird song. Hey, let's just skip this one. Okay. This is still loading. What I want to do next is, I'm looking at my notes, we're going to need a third animation, a loop, and a hit effect. So let's create some of the damage type logic while we're here. Basically, once we're in this input check, Aim trace lance. Okay. Let's close these tabs we probably don't need to have open. So inside of here, we have a looping function of our, basically our skills range, which is what this is. And we have our in range and out of range, that's fine. So you have a hit actor, spawn, hit component. We could make great use of, well, we are going to need the hit location for spawning particle effects for the damage. Just thinking on how we want to deal with it. Inside of this function, perhaps we want to spawn particle emitter at location. Oh no, yeah. Spawn emitter. Wait, do we want to attach it? No, we don't. Not at all. Spawn emitter. Oh shoot, why is the default to that one? Application. We want to get our hit location and spawn particle effects there if it's in our range, basically, right? And the particle effect we want to spawn, I wonder if we can grab a placeholder. I mean, I guess we could use explosion blue. It's definitely one I use quite often. In terms of particles that we have specifically, we have crash, impact. Yeah, we probably don't want to spawn this. Yeah, let's just use crash. Let's use those defaults, those generic particle effects for now. We're not in the VFX phase. Just as a placeholder, so we know that our functions are working. Rotation, auto destroy, sure. So we'll compile it. And okay, here we are with her old pose. First thing I want to do right off the bat is pretty much replace those two. We'll grab our poses and dump them. Well, not dump them. Grab them from the temp folder to Lamb's pose. And awesome, the root also followed through. Grab that as well. So now we have a rather awkward hand animation in between. Okay, so we may have to get into the curve editor a little bit. We're basically looking to just add a subtle pushback here. Add a little bit here. And sort of adjust this one as well to be in line. Might be a little bit too aggressive. Let's grab our graph editor. Whoops. Not that. Graph editor. Here we go. And in my other screen, I'll just have to sort of... Well, I guess I could do this, actually. And we have our translate Y. And we could have it be just super subtle if we wanted to. Whoops. Yeah, let's pull that out. I think, is this serviceable? Let's not. Let's export it and see. We could also add some like hair flappy, you know, some sort of motion. Well, we can always add that after. And this is our new loop. Let's jump to animations. Oh, whoops. Here we go. Kind of bizarre, but it looks cool. I mean, definitely looks like powerful, right? Like, wow. But the animation's killing me. I don't like it at all. It might be because we don't have any root motion enabled on our loop here. Let's try that. Might be why we need that jump, because it is off axis. No, still getting it. Yeah, you definitely want to go more subtle with that. Oh, dude, it does feel so good without PGV roots. It feels like I can access all of my creations so much easier without any issues. No confusion. Because this isn't a... I want to fix the animation for sure. It was way too aggressive. I don't know why I went that hard on it. But we want to go into the blueprint, and I think this will solve some issues. Sorry. Yeah, okay, cool. So our camera is now in line with where we want to be. We need to find a way to kind of win here. Not too excited. Want to find a way to distribute damage with this skill. So you could use it with a projectile, or perhaps some sort of actor. No, I think you gotta do it with a projectile, which may end up being part of the VFX section in part 3. Looks like we're going to be doing functionality in all 3 parts. Anyways, let's get to this place, and yeah, let's make this less aggressive. Because it's such a rapid loop, I don't think we want it to be... And it's repeated, too. So, I think less is more in this case. I mean, I could be wrong, I don't know. As far as animations go, I just kind of go with my best intentions. Yeah, that's kind of better, I think. Let's copy these to our position here. Whoops. And we can probably do some sort of hair thing, you know, like from the Force, you know, like a something like this. Just wonder if we can start with, you know, just going a little crazy. Can we just come over here and like explode this totally upwards on this axis? So we have some sort of, like, flow? I don't know. We'll see. I guess it does enhance the effect. Anyways, let's copy and paste these. And do the same over here. Whoops! Oh, Jesus! Cool, unchanged. Let's minimize this, and let's re-export that. Fix the position of the aim, eh, Julio? Would you be able to enlighten me on that? How so? Okay. Yeah, the hair is alright. The hand is bizarre. Look at it. Oh my god. Strangely. Oh, you know why? I know why. It's not the animation. It is actually in here. Spine pitch for aim, I think. Neck input rotation, modify arm. Maybe I was wrong. Okay, just want to check that. Right, so what we're getting here is let me check the event graph actually. Spine adjust for skill stance aim. This is maybe what's allowing us to bend upwards and downwards. Let's find references to this. Yeah, because we want to aim, right, with our left hand. But when we do this, yeah, we're still aiming with our left hand in a very awkward kind of way. So we gotta, like her hand's broken if she's very strange. Why that's happening, I do not know. We gotta figure that out. Let's look at our blueprint here. Animation handlers. Spine pitch. Okay, let's see this. Oh, whoops. Oh yes, the aim offset on the HUD. I was actually talking about that in part 1 in my earlier stream today. I was referencing Metal Gear Solid 4 because that's the first game I could think of that had that offset included, and I was like, oh man, that's so awesome. Not really sure how to build that, but it's definitely not an urgent functional feature. It's not core to the system's working. Anyhow. Where to proceed from here? Gotta find out why our skill is all aiming funny. And I have a hunch it is because of this. Let's just unplug it and see what happens. So, enter our skill stance, and now our spine doesn't offset to match our aim. And if we go here, yeah, it's definitely that one feature. Because we can aim straight down without adjusting anything. And we do definitely want that feature. However, we do have to add some controls to this ability to kind of limit our range, because, for example, our aiming range. For example, I don't like how you're able to do this and basically become like some sort of weird turret. Rather, I would like to set your ability to move this in a range. I don't think, like, this is supposed to be a really strong, high cost, high damage ability. You shouldn't really be able to, like, zip around like this, if you know what I mean. So I have to do something with that as well. Inside of here, if we have a range trace, I wonder if we can do a bit more here with in terms of giving damage to another actor. I'm just gonna pull this out. Whoops. And actually, I'll move everything else over so we can full screen here. Oops, just want to jump here for a second. take a look at the other ability and how I have it set up. Are basically grabbing damage out from her and applying damage to... Okay. I'll move that over, get back into our... Actually, what I want to do is just grab a quick snippet of this setup. See if we can leverage some of that logic that we already have existing. So, would we be able to apply damage? And basically, we just want to get damage out. And can we apply damage to the hit actor? Is it that simple? Hard to say, hard to say. We know whether we're in range or not now because we have the particle effect spawning, so we can just pull this and look at that damage readout. Let's make it dark blue. I mean, event instigator is our player controller. Whoops, not that. So our player controller is our event instigator. Okay, let's stick that right in there. And see if we can break stuff. Yeah, let's just jump into the game here. Definitely should fix the item stash. We've been redoing our menus this week. Whoops. Jeez, what is this? Well, that's not supposed to be like that. I've noticed that there's issue with our skill stance where we need to sort of force a reset if it's not being pressed. Because initially it wasn't a toggle, like a on release, like how it is now. Initially it was set up to be toggled on, and you press it again to toggle it off. And because of that, it doesn't really mesh well with the newer style of logic. Interesting. We're just aiming right through stuff. Excuse me. And that's, well, basically. The answer for that is because the trace channel is not on visibility. We need to have... wait, why do I trace by camera? Is this the right type of line trace? That is what we're looking for. We're gonna have to reroute all of these pins. And use our right hand, plug this in here, this in here. And I like how we're looking for an actor and we're tracing for a channel. That's hilarious. Actors to ignore. Yeah, let's debug this for one frame. Object types. Let's make this. And we're honestly looking for world static, pawn and destructible as well. These are the ones we want. Ignore self, yes. And we should be able to just plug all of these in here, perfect. And now we should be able to break stuff. Oh Jesus, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. Okay, so, if we, whoops, this does damage, interesting, okay, so, yeah, it breaks stuff, super fast and powerful, okay. Maybe a bit too much, but I mean, it works. That's pretty cool. And we can get all the money those barrels have. Well, okay, I am getting a little hungry as it's dinner time, so I will break for now. Let's see, let's think about this first, though. What do we want to do before we come back? We want to plan out the VFX and how those are going to be emitted, as well as and how they're going to be structured. Not just emitting them, but how are we going to build them? Are we going to build them with just straight particles, or are we going to use actors, or do we use a mesh particle? And I have to look into that beam type stuff that I did that one time. In terms of functionality, I believe, you know, this is kind of what we're looking for here. Although I do want to adjust this. The spine pitch. We gotta fix the spine pitch. The weird part is, I'll jump into here. Sorry, what I was saying was the weird part about the spine pitch is that it seems to be affecting only one hand. Maybe there are some details. Oh, this is different. This is something new with regards to Unreal 4.15. I want to go back to this. This is an anim offset for skill stance, and it is a what we might actually need here. If we go to the asset browser and we type skill stance, yeah, we can see the this anim offset actually. And it's simply using this is interesting. I have to kind of reteach myself, like relearn all this stuff. It's been a while since I left it. We have blend spaces there, and we have an anim offset skill stance one dimension here. Now this, what does this do? What are these? Why did Unreal change this on me? Oh, hold shift to move. Oh, I see. I see Unreal. Let's go down spine, set here. We actually may, so it looks like to set this up, we're gonna have to create a anim offset for, Lance, because it's basically another aiming pose. We have blend spaces, anim offset. Yeah, this is exactly what we need. They both can be driven by the same spine pitch value, but we're basically gonna need to set up another animation offset. That's why the hands and stuff are all adjusting. But now that we know that, that's actually not too hard. We just got to... that's interesting. If we look at these values, spine pitch, negative value, positive 90. Very interesting. So I will go offline for a break, get some lunch like I mentioned earlier, and come back for part 3 where we will do the VFX focused work, but as well as work on some functionality too, and figure out how we're going to do this animation. Ideally, I'd like to do this in 3 parts, so hopefully it doesn't turn into a 4-part thing. But I'll be back in a little while. Thanks for watching, guys. Likes and subs are always appreciated, and I'll be back soon.